Hi everybody, welcome to a mod spotlight with me, Sid. We are here in my new mod spotlight world. I have built this set specifically for focusing on and highlighting various vintage story mods. So we'll be using this area for a fair amount of videos going forward, I hope. Today's spotlight is a little bit different though. Instead of focusing on one mod, this is my top 10 vintage story client-side mods. So for those of you who don't know, vintage story mods can be client-side, they can be server-side, which means that they only have to be installed on the server if you're playing online, or locally if you're playing single player. Client side will work regardless whether you're on server or not, and then there's both, which can work on both sides. So I'm looking at client side mods. These mods theoretically will work even if the server doesn't have them installed, and they are for the most part quality of life mods. And yeah, here's my top 10 in no particular order. I'm not picking any things, I'm just going through a top 10 things. So first on the list, let's talk about accessibility tweaks by our friend and colleague on the Rusty Gear server, Apache. So accessibility tweaks is a mod which is designed to help people with accessibility issues. It, however, is incredibly useful just for everybody else who wants to get rid of annoying things that they don't like. So accessibility tweaks, hit F8, you get this menu come up, and you can do things like this. You can turn off raindrops, you can turn off snowflakes, you can turn off dust things, you can get rid of clouds, fog effects, mist effects. All of those things can be turned off. So, you know, really useful, especially if you're a content creator and the raindrops are annoying. Text alteration basically gets rid of those annoying little character tweaks that it does during temporal storms, while intoxicated or while starving. Sound effects is really good. So if I want to get rid of hopefully, no, none of those are rain. Okay, apparently that's a. Let's have a look. Weather. Got to find. You have sometimes this. It can be different things. You can actually only show. Oh, we've got hail. That sound. We've got wind. That should turn those sounds off. Or not, as the case may be. It does, yeah. Finding the right sounds can be a bit awkward, but sound effects is a really useful one. If you, especially with elks, it is brilliant for getting rid of elk sounds. But we can turn off the various sounds. We can fix broken sounds. You can see there you go. Currently playing sounds, so we can turn them all back on. And yeah, sound effects great. Now, scene brightness is a particularly useful one if you are recording or if you don't like particularly dark scenes. It allows you to change the brightness settings. Color correction allows you to so you can turn it off. That's what the sound should look, the colour should look like. And if I things, but if you had Trite anomaly, for example, you can adjust the colours so you can make out the differences. You can also adjust the saturation and all of those things. You can get your set values set. It's great for anybody with any kind of colour blindness. Camera and movement is a involuntary mouse movement and warp strength, so it's how much the world warps while you're drunk. Really handy for punk on the Rusty Gear server. So that's accessibility tweaks by Apache. It's a really useful mod. Next one, let me just get myself back into first person now. So next on the list is also by Apache, just because it fell there, it's not for any particular reason, and that is Campaign Cartographer. So Campaign Cartographer is a mapping tool, and it allows you to do things like you can turn on automatic waypoints. So for example, here's a trader, we can turn that on. I can also turn on resin, for example, and we'll come and play with that in a moment. We can customize the player pins, so I can do other people, I can do highlighter players, I can pick various things. I can set my color, so if I wanted it to be about 128, I think will do me. I can get myself purple. I can increase the scale of my pointer on the map, and that's all useful. I can change the various waypoint templates. I can also have a fast travel overlay, which will show me when translocators are in there. We can waypoint beacon settings, so we can turn those on. We can do waypoint groups, so I can add a group and call it, I don't know, traders, for example. We can close that down. I've got a waypoint manager, it will give me a list of all of the waypoints that are on the thing. So if I were to go on here and add a waypoint, we'll call it home in purple, well, lilac. And then if I were to go into there, you can see I've got home, and that's all good. I can export them, I can do all sorts of things like that. There is a waypoint template pack which allows you to use templates for different things, so we can go in there and we can template bismuth. Bismuth is always green, blue, so your colours basically. And home and hearth, you can put the various items on. So yeah, lots and lots of useful stuff. Now if we were to go out here, I better arm myself because I know there are wolves in this area, but I happen to know there was a trader nearby where I set up shop because I set myself up here. And if I were to come and talk to this trader, there's treasure hunter, oh, have a little, what you got? And it's had as a waypoint off the bat, bang, all done, and we're good. So there's our waypoints. Similarly, I did put out here, and I know this is the wrong tree, this I have a very, oh there it is, I put out resin. So if I were to right click on, if you had resin waypointed, which I have, it's automatically put resin on the map for me. So all of that is really useful. It's a really handy tool. And if we have a look at the trader waypoint, we can put him into the traders group, and then I can turn off traders, so we can actually turn them off quite quickly. And you can set up one for ores, one for dungeons, whatever it may be that you want to do there. So that's Campaign Cartographer, and I'm sure if I've missed anything, Apache will give me more details. So number 3 on the things is the HUD clock patch. Now in the top left hand corner of my screen there is currently the date, the temperature, and the wind speed, and I can press Shift and O, which is the default key. I can change the temperature into freedom units if I wish, and obviously I don't, because I don't work in freedom units. I don't even understand how they work. Sorry, Fahrenheit. You can have this temporal storm to be shown when it's approaching, or always or never. So we can have always. Wind speed can be in both at scale, percentage, or never. Rift activity, always. I actually like that because it, even if you're not playing with rifts, which I'm not, rift activity affects the spawn of underground mobs, so really handy. You can set position, you can show the number of player counts if you're online, and you can show your claimed area if you have claims. And that will give me things. Now the temporal storm is currently deactivated. We will activate it later, but that is a really nice one. Now we are running the hood clock patch, which is a fork of the original hood clock, and once the original author updates the hood clock, if they do update the hood clock, the author who wrote the patch will remove it. There's this kind of this unwritten rule within Vintage Story where some people will fork somebody's mod if it's not been updated fast enough, with a rule that will take it back down again. So to me, absolutely vital. The next one is the Temporal Storm Timer. Now I need to go, is it Temp Storm? I'm trying to remember oh no, hang on. Just bear with me a second, I'll be back in a moment. Alright, quick bit of jiggery pokery and tweak, and you can see now at the top corner it says there's no storm in sight. Now I'm going to change my game mode to creative because I don't want to get killed, and I'm going to do next temp storm. Now that tells me it's in 14 days. Can't wait 14 days now. Now what you'll see is in the bottom, just above the blue gear, you should see that we've got there's a bar which is going down. Now that is the Temporal Storm Timer mod, and it goes up in red until it starts, and then it goes back down again, and obviously we deal with all of these fellas that that are pottering around. Now really, we're going to go there, are we? So yeah, that's the Temporal Storm Timer. It's a really useful little mod. It's a beautiful implementation with that cog spinning off of the main temporal stability cog at the bottom. Officially this mod is for 18.8, version 18.8, but it still works. So if it works, you know, why worry about it, eh? I would definitely be in trouble right now if I think what we got: deep, tainted, deep, tainted. Not too bad, and clearly the fella's got off over there, the bow torn. Oh no, he's here, look, tainted bow torn. So none of these actually too bad, but again, wouldn't want to be in the open coping with these. So that's the Temporal Storm Timer. We will let this run down. I'll be back in a second, and yeah, see you in a moment. Alright, that is that over. One thing I did forget to mention on the hood clock mod, by the way, welcome to the inside of my little house, quite like this, is one of the features it has is this. In the top corner now you'll see there's a little house icon. That means that this is, as far as the game is concerned, a room, which means it gets benefits from having fires in it and cooling. This is not a room because it's too big. This is a room, so that's a useful one. Even more useful on that one, which is worth mentioning, is if you go down into the cellar, it will tell you when the room is a valid cellar for cooling. It will also, which I don't have a greenhouse to hand, but it will also tell you when it's a valid greenhouse. So that's really handy. Now, one I love, if there were a craftable version of this, I would probably go with it. I think this is a little overpowered in some respects, but zoom button reborn. Now this is really handy if you're wanting to, if you're stood on a hillside, or you're scouting for ores and you want to just check around and see if you can see any ore nuggets, or you want to see what a ruin is in the distance. Really handy. I think it would go better with a mod where you had to craft a spyglass, so you had to have a spyglass in your inventory, or even maybe somewhere in your character. But other than that, it's a great mod. Really simple, doesn't do anything other than that. The next one along is extra info. Now extra info gives you a whole load of extra info in a lot of different ways. For example, if I look at this stack here, you can see that's 28 firewood. But that one is actually 32 firewood, and it's actually telling me that the entire stack of firewood there, that everything and current, is 60, whereas that one's 62. If there were something cooking in the oven, it would give me more details on the times that had to go. Similarly, if I were doing a charcoal pit or a pit kiln, it would give me time details and information. So it also gives you more information on some of the things. Now I'm not entirely, you have to hunt around for where it does, but it will give you things like details of what the traders buy and sell. You can, if I can just get rid of some of this, it will probably give me way too much stuff here, but it will just basically give you more information about all of the items and stuff within the thing. It's a useful tool, particularly for me, for the information in the heads-up display on the center console there. Next is Particle Plus. Now Particle Plus is a contentious one. I got it for, realistically, so I could see high fertility soil, because high fertility soil is a pain. And so what it does is it gives you this visible particle off of high fertility soil. Now it has got the advantage that, in fact, let me just set the time, because it's a bit dark. It has got the advantage that it also gives you particles for resin, so you can see the particles falling out of the tree, and makes it just easier to find that. Another mod which is not featured in this one is resin on all sides, which is just one that puts resin on all four sides of the log, so you can see it. Where it is overpowered is this particle here. This is a meteorite, and on the Rusty Gears server I do use it a lot, and I don't feel too bad. Rusty Gears is a long haul investment in time and effort, and we go through a hell of a lot of materials, so actually getting a lot more material is not necessarily a bad thing. However, it is a little bit overpowered. Now unfortunately the configuration of that mod is a little bit tricky, in that you have to go into a JSON file in the actual mod zip folder and edit it to try if you want to take that out. But other than that, absolutely great. Another entirely cosmetic mod for me is the Vanity mod. Now if you look at my character, I am wearing full Gambleson armour, but my model is not displaying it. And that is because I have the Vanity mod, which allows me to show what I want on. So for example, if you were doing something like Better Life, or the things where you wanted your faces to be visible, you could turn the helmet off, so your actual identity is there. You could also turn off the backpack, so you don't see the backpack model, which is always nice. So that's Vanity. Simple mod, just gives you the option of looking like that. Now if it's installed, let me get this right, if it is just installed client side, so you're on a server, you have it installed, nobody else has it, they will see you normally with all your armour rendered. If Vanity is installed on the server, so everybody has it, everybody will see you as you are configured. So Vanity is one of those odd ones which is a both for configuration. Now we're going to kill something. So let me just have a munch on some vintage beef. I have got myself a few drifty boys, and I've got a steel falx, which means that I should be able to. Now that is auto loot reforged. Didn't get any loot from that one because it says service. And what all that does is quite literally picks everything up straight out of the loot from the critter, if there was anything. Eventually I'll get something. Come on. You're going to have some? I should have gone for something with a little bit more loot probability, but then I've got to find it out. But you can see the text in there. The inventory was empty. Were there any loot in the inventory, that would be picked up. And that is auto loot reforged. Doesn't do anything else other than that. Really handy though if you get fed up of having to do that looting all the time. The other thing that we've got on here, which is my number 10 mod, is if I press Ctrl L, this is spawn highlight. So you can see where the light level is low enough, like there, potential, to spawn mobs. So inside, it should be, in an ideal world, all spawn safe, because, you know, that's what we want. But out here, mobs can spawn there because that's not lit enough. Similarly in the forge, that's all fine, as is that, but that block there is not lit well enough, so a mob could spawn there. I don't know what's going on with that one, but you know, we'll worry about that later. So that is the spawn highlight, and that is my top 10. Now, when I was looking at my list of go-to quality of life client-side mods, there were 3 others which, for no particular reason, didn't make it into this one. One is body heat bar. Body heat bar I didn't show because it's really hard to demonstrate. You have to get yourself freezing, and it will give you a thermometer just above your health bar that shows how cold you are going down. So rather than just get the frosty thing around the side, it's useful if you're doing a cold game, if you're doing the cold biomes, if you're doing an Arctic survival series. Body heat bar, really useful. The next one is player list. Now, player list is only useful when you're on a server, because pressing tab will give you, if you look in the middle there's a little player list, and it's basically the same as the player list you get in a Minecraft server, where you can see who's online and what the pings are like and things. As I say, not overly useful in single player, really useful in multiplayer. And finally, the last thing we've got is not enough map icons, which just adds a whole load more icons to the selection. So, you know, you can put yourself a dragon or a diamond or a different, well, actually the same campfire, but it doesn't matter. A dollar sign, a heart. You can have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or, you know, a tent, or all of these are just additional icons. They have no function in the game other than making this work. While I am here, let me just show you, because I didn't demonstrate the beacon function in Campaign Cartographer. So the beacon function in Campaign Cartographer, if you were to go and turn on the beacon for that, you'll get a beacon. It's essentially the Minecraft beacon. It gives you an item on the thing. Really handy if you were travelling, you know, a long distance out this way or that way. You can set the. In fact, let's just do one, shall we? Let me turn that off. Let me come up here. Just go temp, bang, beacon, OK. And right now you can see that we are 463 blocks away. Let me just change my game mode so I can fly to it because I'm not walking. And as you get closer within a certain range, the beacon will appear in the world, in theory. Oh, marbles. You're going to appear. I'm not sure entirely what we've set the beacon ranges to, but these are really handy. That may be because it's actually really low down in the world as well. There you go. You can see it now. I also picked a black beacon, which was probably the worst thing I could have done. So anyway, that is my top 10 plus a few of the client side mods. They're my quality of life mods, which I find really handy, and I really should clear these walls out, but this world won't survive. I'll have a copy of it. And these are kind of my go-to, what I will automatically would want in any game that I play to make my life that bit easier. Use the ones you like, don't use the ones you like whatever. I will put links to all of the mods in the description and in the video, well, you will have seen that already, I hope. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon, and bye for now.